Welcome back to the Keys to Success podcast. You have your host, Tilisa Stubbs. And unfortunately, my beautiful co-host, Deba, she had to be with one of her mentees today. And so I'm here. Somebody that I think very highly of. Lisa is a good friend of mine who also is in the same coaching program as me with Raising Private Money. Lisa and I have done business together. She's actually one of my private money lenders. And she's just such a dynamic individual. And I wanted her to come on here just to share a little bit about, why she got into real estate investing. What is it that made her passionate about wanting to help women in particular? And so without further ado, Lisa, I'm so excited to have you here, girl. This is going to be like our normal girl talk. So we're just going to shake off all the nerves right now. But Lisa, thank you for being on here. Why don't you tell the audience who you are, maybe a little bit about yourself. Go ahead, girl. The floor is yours.
Great. Thank you so much, first of all, Tilisa, for having me on here. I really, really appreciate it. Yes, working with you has been wonderful. We've created a great friendship. But a little bit about me, just in terms of background. So I actually am based in the Bay Area in California. So born and raised here and live in Santa Cruz. And before I got involved in real estate, I actually spent a career in human resources. So I worked in corporate HR for over 25 years. And that was a great career, but I was ready for a change. And so I decided to get involved in real estate and kind of share a little bit of my path. It's kind of windy, so it wasn't just straight into investing. But after leaving that career, and then most recently, I had worked at Apple for 9 years before I left. And I decided to get involved in home staging. And so it was super fun getting involved in the creative process, kind of seeing the transformation of houses. That was awesome. But with it, it's a lot of work. So if you enjoy moving every week, perfect. But it was just too much. And so I decided then I wanted to get involved in short-term rental space. And so I found a partner and we bought a cabin in Blue Ridge, Georgia. And so I'm managing that today. And then from there decided, I really want to find something that's more in multiples and not just one unit. And so my husband and I had bought our first fourplex back in 2007, kind of right before the craziness of 2008. So I thought, why don't I get more involved in multifamily? But with getting involved in multifamily, I just figured, I looked at apartments, looked at different things. And so right now I'm focused in getting involved in with a different partner in acquiring mobile home parks. And from that, when you start realizing, okay, I'm going to get involved in multifamily, you start thinking, where am I going to come up with the money to buy, all these properties? And so that kind of led to where you and I met. I joined Amy Majuri's Raising Private Capital because I was determined that I need to figure out a way to make that work. And so focused on that. And so not only am I involved on the active side, but I'll just also share I'm involved, as you had mentioned, on the passive side as a private money lender. So it's been great. I've been able to take my 401ks that I had from other companies, roll that into a self-directed IRA, which I've been able to invest in real estate, which is how you and I have even become partners now. It's been amazing. So about just kind of how I got started.
I love that, Lisa. So I want to just take a step back because you came from the HR arena and I came from the accounting department. And so you and I both know that there is a particular mindset when you're in that corporate space. And when we're talking about investing in real estate and using our 401k and our retirement to invest passively. I almost feel kind of hesitant sometimes to even mention it to some of the people that I used to work with, because they're so indoctrinated with the idea of, I'm going to retire at 65, you know, going to continue to save up, and how I would never even dare take for my retirement. And so I want to kind of just talk about, how did you even, working in HR, how were you exposed enough to know, like, wait a second, I can actually like put my money to work?
Well, it's interesting. I wasn't exposed at all, because I was actually on the opposite side. As we would hire new employees, I would educate everyone on the 401k plan and getting everybody to sign up on their 401k. And so it really wasn't until I've been educating myself really in the last year, learning about the self-directed IRA. I didn't even know it existed. I had no idea that you can invest your hard-earned money into real estate, because basically how I understood it, in the 401k plans, they typically only invest in, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. So if you were to call them today, they would tell you, and if I were to ask them, Schwab, could I invest in real estate? They would likely tell me no, because that's not what they invest in. And so I never knew that about the right type of IRA that would allow you to even invest. And so that was with the self-directed. So I didn't know. I mean, I so wish I knew earlier in my career all about the possibility, and even investing in other businesses or real estate or other things that you can do, and be able to do it passively. Because I think, the beauty of working together, I'm able to earn double-digit returns that I wasn't earning in my 401k. And it's, for a great cause. You're helping at-risk women, and I definitely am passionate about helping other women. And I don't have to do any of the work. You're doing all the
That's the best part. Well, I love that you say that though, Lisa, because there are people that are still in their corporate jobs, and there are people that are working in HR right now, and they may be listening to this and it may seem kind of foreign, and they may be thinking like, hey, I may have thought about dabbling in real estate, but do I really have the time? Right. And that's the thing. It's like, you don't have to have the time. If you have the funds and you don't have the time, you partner with somebody that does have the time. And then that way you can still continue with your life. And I wish so much that there were like options, like the same way that you as like the HR person had to tell people, these are the different 401k plans, you can contribute this amount or whatever. Like, I just wish that there was a component within HR that also said, hey, there's also this option. You can set up a self-directed Roth IRA. If you'd like, you can, so it's just like, I just wish that there was a way that we could somehow start to incorporate that, because just imagine how many more people would be able to exponentially grow their retirement, and they wouldn't feel that burden when they start getting near 65. Like, man, I don't know. It's not looking like I'm going to be able to really retire. I'm going to have to continue working. Wouldn't that be nice though? Like, how do we even do that?
It would be amazing. I think a lot of it is kind of where we're at today, right? And even in our networks, and trying to help educate other individuals and other women in particular, because there's so many women professionals out there that don't realize that this is an option, to your point. And I think just even I'm guilty of this myself, and even with others, I think so many employees really don't even understand the 401k and really any of the fees, or understand even what's happening with their 401k. They might just, maybe they look at the statements, maybe they don't, and they just assume that all the money's going to be there, not recognizing that there are a lot of fees tied to it in other investments. Where when I have the self-directed IRA, I know exactly what my return is, where I'm investing, and where it is at all times. And in addition, getting a higher return than in the 401k plan. And so I'm with you, just wanting to be out there and helping others share this message. And we know that there are other tools as well, but this one to me is just amazing.
Yeah. It literally puts you in, control of your money. And I know that I haven't always felt that way. I know I was very similar to what you were saying, Lisa. Like, I would be like that one person that would look at my 401k statement at the end of every year, and it would show me like how much I was estimated to have by age 65, and then how much I had contributed this year. And I would always like do the calculation, like, how it's not numbering. The numbers are not numbering for me. I don't see how I'm going to be able to like live off of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And
So,
yeah, you are more in control. And I was just going to add too, I think a big part of it is, building this relationship. I think with you and I, I found you, right? We have met each other, became friends, but I was very much interested in investing and helping another woman investor, to help them out in private money lending. So I also think a big piece of it, people might wonder is, how do I trust individuals? And I think part of that is just building that relationship, because you also want to find a good partner. And I think you and I have shared this before. We both have come from backgrounds that are very high on ethics and integrity. And we both operate from that. And that's very important. And I think that's key to also finding a partner. So it's been wonderful working with you, because
aw.
we have similar values in that regards, right? And that's important. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lisa. And I'm actually glad that you mentioned that, because I think that when it comes to raising private money, a lot of the times people think that they need to identify people that have a whole lot of money, and they're trying to put themselves in these rooms where it's like, and sometimes that's not really the case. And you mentioned that with me and you, we were at a conference, but I had no idea that you would want it to be a private money lender. I had no idea that you wanted to work with another woman, but it's just that energy and that synergy that we felt when we first had that conversation. I knew that something was going to blossom from it, right? And I think that it's important for you to pay attention to that feeling, because as you interact with people, some people are going to, give you like this feeling of, I can trust them. We have a lot of good energy. We have a lot of similarities. And then there's going to be other people that make you feel a little bit intimidated and kind of make you feel, kind of like you're second guessing yourself. And so really pay attention to that feeling. And I'm not saying use only feelings when you're thinking about partnering with somebody, but I think that is a major factor. At least it was for us. And Lisa, one thing I also want to mention, because and I know that I'm very professional. The way that I construct business, the way that I do my documenting, all of those things, right? And so in your experience of dealing with private money lenders, I want you to just kind of highlight those things that you really, and I know we're kind of going off script a bit, but just highlight some of those things that you really appreciate in a private money lender, and then maybe some ways that private money lenders can do better. I think that we're all looking for ways that we can do better, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you are A+ for me. I'll just start there, and I'll share why it's so important. So as a private money lender, I think communication is key. And you have been, anything that you say you're going to do, you do. You follow up and you do. So you keep your word. And I think that's critical. But all along the way, here I'm going to send you this form. You send the form. We have a shared file. I can access any of our documents. Everything, we have a promissory note. Everything is backed with the recorded deed. We have the insurance. Everything that you said that you would do to protect my investment is there. And I think that's very important when you say that you're going to provide that you do. And so that's why I say you get an A plus, because you came through. I didn't have to do any follow-up. And so you were proactive in following up with me and sending emails and the continual communication. And so that in and of itself, not only does that help just understanding, what the process is as you go through it, but that also builds trust. And that's where the true trust is, right? When you follow through and do what you say you're going to do, that's huge. That's super important to me. So that's what I appreciate it. And then you want to work together again because you made it easy, right? It's easy to do. But if I'm having to wonder, where did my money go, or what are you doing with that, or when am I getting it back? That's when then kind of the question marks come into play. But you haven't demonstrated that at all. You've been top notch. You're a gem. Thank you.
I appreciate you saying that, Lisa. And I think that that's important for anybody. And I'll say that because I have a business background, a lot of those things are it's the norm, right? But I know for a lot of people, especially people that started off in sales or started off in entrepreneurship in general, they may not have that business sense to know that, when you say that you're going to do something, you need to do it by the date that you said that you're going to do it. And if you can't follow through with something, then that communication needs to be had. And so I think that us as entrepreneurs are doing ourselves a disservice if we don't take up that additional training, if it's not something that we have naturally. Not only are we doing ourselves a disservice, but we're doing our private money lenders or anybody that we're working with, our partners in general, a disservice as well. And so, because Lisa, I don't know about you, but I've worked with individuals actually fairly recently who don't necessarily have the business ethics or like the business mentality. And so there's a lot of, struggle. There's a lot of communication issues where it feels like, am I crazy? I know I'm not crazy, but for this person, this is not the norm. They were not, brought up in the corporate space since they were 19 years old. And I have to acknowledge that. But I also think that as entrepreneurs, if we want to do good business, then we need to make sure that we're doing that. So
I agree with you 100%. And I think one thing, yes, having the business background certainly helps because we've had that experience and that training and that follow through I'm going through. But I also think sometimes there's so much to do when you're working on your own and you're managing your own business. Sometimes you get caught up in either raising the capital or you're caught up in finding the next opportunity. That all of these details of follow through and the paperwork and all that can seem like a small thing, but really an important detail. And I just recently read for the second time the book Who Not How.
Ooh.
And so for anybody that's starting out and if you haven't read it, it's definitely a must. And I say that because I also had that expectation for myself starting out, thinking that I have to do everything, and I don't have to do everything. And so even if you're in this business, then just recognize if the paperwork part isn't something that you enjoy or that's not your area of expertise, then find somebody else who is. And so there's many people out there who are organized and can help with that. But that's just a critical piece to showing up as a professional. But a lot of people may not realize that if you haven't been in the business background, but it can be fixed. So is what I want to say, right? By just hiring somebody. So
I'm glad to hear
So, Lisa, thank you so much. Sorry. As a real estate investor, we're always getting things that pop up out of the ordinary. One of my security alarms just went off at one of the properties. So, ADT is calling me right now. Just 1 second. I am so sorry. But you know what? This is real life, and we're real estate investors. I'm sorry. I'm actually recording a podcast right now, ADTs. But yes, I think that was my house manager that accidentally kicked that off.
Okay, no problem. I'm glad to hear everything's okay. May I have your first and last name, verbal password? I'll go ahead and clear that up.
Yep. Let me mute so everybody doesn't hear my verbal password. Just a second. Thank you very much. All righty. So, you know what? Things happen. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
No. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a call from my house manager here in a minute. Tilisa, I'm so sorry. I set off the alarm. It's okay. I know we're still getting used to this new alarm system, right?
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So anyways, Lisa, the joy is the joy. Sandra said hi, and always trust your gut. Always, always trust your gut. That is so big.
I am a huge gut intuition, go with your intuition person. So totally agree with her.
So Lisa, I want to talk about, because you specifically wanted to help women, right? And what I'm doing is specifically housing women who are, at risk, and I've said this over the podcast before, whether they're experiencing drug and alcohol, substance abuse, or domestic violence. And so really helping these women to transform their lives so that they can be proud of where they've come. And when I was telling you about this, and I was sharing kind of like my why, and we won't even get into all that right now because we'll be here for like ever. But when I was telling you about this, what was it that did it for you in regards to our mission and how you could potentially partner with that?
So for me, early on, I had gone to several meetups in person. So I've been on multiple Zoom calls, which has been great, but also went to a meetup. And I recall going to this meetup, and there were probably about 150 people there, and there were about 12 women. And I'll never forget thinking, when I've been on the Zoom, it never occurred to me that there are so few women in the room. I just never. But when I was in person, I quickly realized that there aren't that many women involved. So that was really the first part for me of how can we get more women investors in the room? And how can we educate on some of the different ways of how women can get involved, and really to help them from a financial perspective, right? On some of the things that we talked about with their 401ks is just one example of kind of getting involved and setting themselves up for retirement, for financial freedom early on, if that's what they so desire. How can we help with that? And so I think there's that piece that I'm very passionate about that. I'm also one, for me personally, it's about the cause. I think I want to be involved. For me as an active investor, I want to do something that feels good and that I'm helping people. And that's just been part of my background of who I am, and coming from HR, the problem solving and helping people. So I think both on the active side, getting involved in affordable housing, that really interests me. And then hearing your story that happened to be involved, helping at-risk women, I was like, wow, that's incredible. So for me, on both sides, I want to do something that's going to help people, building great communities on the active side. And what can I do to help other investors, with their goals? And so that's really how it clicked for us, I would say.
Wow. I love that so much. And can I just say, like, kudos to us women. Like, I love our men. Don't get me wrong. Like, I have the most amazing husband. You have the most amazing husband. Like, I think that, like, a supportive husband is like the backbone to a strong woman. But there are so many barriers that us women are breaking. And I'm just going to say it how it is. We needed women in these spaces, in these male dominated spaces, because we have, not only do we have the business sense, but we have like this nurturing element to where like we actually want to see other people progress in life. We want to see everybody grow. We don't want to just see one pocket of people continue to be wealthy, right? Like, and it's all women. I don't care what race you are, what color you are, whatever. All women, we want this for our businesses. We want this for our kids' schools. And so it gives me chills when I even just think about like, wow, where as women we've just come so far and we're so powerful, right?
Yeah, and there's so many more women in the workforce today. I think that's a big part of it. And for me, it's just been about education. I think there's so many women that just aren't aware that this is an option for them. And so I think that's why I'm so passionate. I didn't know. And so now that I'm at this point in my life and my career, how can I help other people, other women? And it did start with my kids. I'm in the point of, this is amazing. How do we help educate our kids so that they can continue to pass it on as well, right? So I'm with you 100%. How can we help? And I don't think for me, it's not just about finding that deal. And of course, we're business, but for me, it's the money isn't first about whatever that deal is. It has to feel right. And so if everything feels right, and of course the numbers have to look good and all of that, but what's the meaning behind it? Because I really believe if it's something that we truly enjoy and love, then that shows in what we do. And then it becomes easy.
It does. It doesn't even feel like work. I promise you, like it doesn't even feel like work. And so speaking of work, I know that you guys are looking for a mobile home. You talked about that earlier. So as far as your vision goes, when you think about this mobile home park, what do you envision? And then what sort of resources are you going to need to pull together to pull this whole thing off?
So I'm fortunate enough that I have found a business partner to help me, a female business partner who I used to work with, which is amazing. And I know it's great. And we actually got together in January. We kind of put together what all of our milestones are going to be from a financial perspective and how many parks we're going to achieve, and then kind of worked our way back. And so right now we're looking for our first park. And what we're looking at and coming up with right now is really deal flow. That's part of it. Obviously the money, we're going to need the money as well, but I feel like with the connections that we have with the network that I have created and the people I've talked to, it's fascinating. I think you and I both know from just these networks that we have that the money is available out there.
Yeah.
And I think we start realizing that and getting over that first mindset hurdle. How am I going to do it financially? But knowing that it's there, figuring that out, now we're at a point of deal flow. And so how are we looking at the deal flow? So that's the biggest part. I'm connecting with other people who are doing what I want to do. So for example, I'm flying to Indiana for a mobile home park networking event on Friday, and just putting myself in the different rooms. So whether it's capital, whether it's mobile home parks, where can I be present to learn from those individuals, and potentially our partnership with my colleague, potentially we can partner with other people, and what does that look like, and JV or opportunities. And so we're working through other brokers and networks as well, but it's great. So, and the people in the community so far, the mobile home park community, have been very open to sharing information. So that's been hugely helpful.
I love that. And I mean, you mentioned something, Lisa, like there's so much power in collaboration. Like we always think that, at least in the beginning, we think that we can do this thing on our own. But it's like recently I've connected, and I can't give out too much information, but recently I've connected with 3 other women, and we all kind of do something. We all kind of serve at-risk individuals, but in different pockets, right? And so we're all meeting in Hawaii this week and just going to combine our efforts, combine our networks, figure out how we can hold these sort of conferences where we're raising money from the audience, inviting some of the nonprofit organizations that we're working with to house these individuals. And it's just like some of the connections that these women have, like the people that they're connected with, I'm like, oh man, like I've watched that person on Instagram. Oh wait, you're friends with that person? Oh wow, that's amazing. And so it's just like when you just start to connect with people and start to combine your efforts, and you say, okay, all right, I'm really good at raising private money. All right, great, wonderful. I'm really, really connected in like the, whatever public speaking industry. I can get us public speaking events at, all these different locations. It's like once you find out what everybody's talent or skill set is and you combine that, it's so powerful. And it just gives me butterflies because I'm just like, wow, Lord, there's no way by myself I'd ever have these opportunities. So I say kudos to you for knowing how important it is to connect with other people who are doing it so that you can kind of lighten the burden, because it's amazing.
Oh, it's so true. And to get there faster. I mean, there are times I feel like this journey takes a long time. And I'm always wanting to speed up that process. But at the end of the day, it's also recognizing I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm meeting the people who I'm supposed to meet at that given time. And, usually looking back, connecting all those dots. And, but it's, I don't know how else to say it. It's fun. It's amazing. And I know I just keep taking it one day at a time, right? Just keep moving forward, because the other part, I guess I would say too, just in terms of the timing, is that I think if I were to go any faster, that's where either the numbers aren't going to work and you do it anyway, which you don't want to do, or the partnership doesn't feel right and I did it anyway because I just wanted to move faster. And so I've really been patient and just stepping back to recognize, just do the right thing. We're all going to make mistakes along the way, but to the best of my ability, ensure that I'm in the right partnerships and looking at the right opportunities. I mean, I've been looking at mobile home parks and underwriting, and so far nothing makes sense. And you just want to throw your hands up, but then you realize, no, keep going,
Yeah.
and it will come to fruition.
That's just a part of the process.
Mm.
It's just a part of the process. And there's this saying that it's not even the destination, right? It's the journey of getting there. Just the memories. Lisa, I have memories that I hold with you and I. Those are memories that I will never forget. It's like this entire journey, every person that I meet, every new city that I'm in, every new food that I taste, like on this journey to success, like that's it. Like the person that we are evolving into as we go through this. I mean, when I started this journey, I wasn't analyzing deals the way that I am analyzing deals now. I was analyzing deals when I wanted to analyze deals, and that might have been once every 2 weeks or maybe once a month, right? But then when I started to actively raise money and I'm like, oh, wait, I actually have the capital now to now really buy real estate, I really need to be looking at deals every single day. And so if I look at the Tilisa that I was 2 years ago, versus the Tilisa that I am today, it's literally like night and day. That person wasn't waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, analyzing 10 to 20 deals and putting in offers. That person was not, making sure that all her ducks were in a row and that she had systems and processes and email campaigns. And and it takes time to build, but the person that you turn into after it's all done, it's just like, that's what it was all for. Like, this is what, like, it was all worth it. The person that I am today was just all worth it.
Well, and you're going to Hawaii. How amazing is that?
Right. And when I tell you, and I'm not going to brag or anything, but like 0 expense, like 0. Like, it's like these things just keep happening. It's just, that's how you know it's God. Like, that's how you know it's God, when everything just flows. You didn't even ask for it, and things are just kind of handed and given to you. It's just like, okay, God.
It's amazing. I mean, seeing your post about, the creative car that you bought and things, I mean, it's awesome. And so I do think, as we're talking through this, surrounding yourself with others who are doing this, it becomes so real for you that it's possible. Because I think this thing, questioning at times, is it possible? And, I was an employee for all these years and then jumped into this being on my own. So, consistently kind of questioning, oh my gosh, what did you do? And yet you're always finding, these great people and hearing these wonderful stories like this that make you realize you can figure it out. You can figure it out. And if I don't know the answer, somebody does. And it's just asking the next person and the next person and the next person. And so yeah, great. So I'm so happy for you. Congrats on all the above.
Thank you, Lisa. And Sandra is saying right now, community is everything, even just to have the support and keep your head in the right place. We become who we surround ourselves with. That is so true, Sandra. Like, we really, really do. What Lisa said when she said that just being around somebody else makes you know that you can do it too. Like, Lisa texted me, was like, Tilisa, how did you do this creative finance, like with the car? Because I'm thinking about doing it. And then I had a friend, Jeremy, reach out, and he's like, I'm thinking about selling my Sprinter van on creative finance. And it's just like the possibilities open up. And now you have people who would have, had these cars just sitting in their driveways collecting dust. Now they're able to sell them and get a monthly passive income. And so it's just like, I always try to share, not ever to brag, and I hope that nobody ever feels like that, but just to show you that it's possible. You can do it. You can do anything you set your mind to, as long as you're willing to put in the work. And so, yeah, Lisa, I just love that. Girl, we got completely way off the script, but anyways.
We kind of figured we
would. I knew we would.
It's
So, Lisa, what are some final words that you'd like to just leave with the audience today? There's somebody who is working at their corporate job who's listening to this, and they are on the fence. There is somebody who knows that they need to get in a part of a community, and they're stagnant right now. They've got analysis paralysis. What can you tell those two groups of people? Yeah.
So the first thing that comes to mind is there is life after your 9 to 5. That there really is. I know it can seem so scary. It was for me. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but it's one of the best decisions that I've made. And I've never looked back. I've never had any desire to go back into the corporate world once I left. And I thought maybe I might, but it's just something you kind of go through different phases in life. And it was like the employee life was over. And so it is okay. And it's okay second thing I would say, it's okay to reach out for help and to network with people, because I was used to going into into work, or, whether driving to work and being in the office, and to being in my own office at home by myself. And really, that can get lonely when you're used to surrounding yourself and in and out of meetings all the time and seeing people in the hall and at lunch, and that's different. But it's okay, because there's a whole nother network of people. And so whatever you're passionate about, you will figure that out, and the people will appear that need to help you. It just happens, as we were talking about before. I would say, so finally, really being patient, be patient with yourself. I still have to remind myself of that too, but I think it takes time to kind of build a new business. I know HR like the back of my hand. Real estate, completely new. And so for me to even continually step out of my comfort zone, I still work on that too, because it's all new to me. But there's so many people out there, and so many connections. And just know that for me, and my husband has been my rock. And every day he just says, just one day, just take another day, another step forward, just another day. You're moving forward, you're moving forward. So I think the final words would be just trust in yourself, partner with the right partners early, and or a network of people, whichever one works best for you. But the sooner you can do that and find other people that can support you, you and so many others are like my biggest fans of keep going, and we all need that. We really do, and we'll make it work. And it's fun. Have fun. I think that's going to the in-person networking. That's one of the things I find. The Zooms are great, but there's nothing that replaces, seeing people, and it really is fun to meet new people and be around people that are doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I would agree. Especially if you're in that corporate space. Once you find your community of people, it'll be the same as walking through the hallways and having those potlucks. It's better. It is
better.
So much better. So many rules are off. I mean, all the corporate rules. I mean,
yeah. Actually, not to say that part, right? Like the freedom. I create my own stress. I create my my commute or any of that, So I mean, there's so many great perks. And in addition to that, just really in the space that we're in, just the opportunity for the financial freedom is far more prevalent in the space that we are living every day than in your 9 to 5, for sure.
That's so true. And I'll just say this last thing. Before we go. Understand that when you do leave your 9 to 5, at some point you will mourn it, like you would mourn losing somebody, because that's what it feels like. You've worked hard to get your degree, whatever that is, whether that's your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, or whatever. You've worked hard so that you can show your family and your friends that you took that degree and you got a job in the space that you've been studying, and you were successful. You made more than 6 figures, right? And in your eyes and in your family's eyes, you are a success. And when you take all of that away, sometimes it strips you of the identity that you thought that position gave you, or that title or that degree gave you. Who am I without this accounting degree? Who am I without this director of accounting title? Who am I? But understand that it's okay to mourn that, because you're more than a title. You're more than a degree. You're more than any of those things. You're going to be able to find who you are, what you like, and you're going to be so proud of that. But you are going to have to mourn everything from the past. And so I just want to be completely transparent about that.
100%. Well said. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyways, Lisa, I loved having you here, girl. I love that we can always just talk, just real girl talk. And I want y'all to know that this is the way that I am with all of my private money lenders. If I cannot have a relationship with you, if I can't go out and have a good time with you, if we can't sit on the phone for almost 2 hours, just shooting the stuff. I mean, that's what I'm looking for in a private money lender. And so, Lisa, thank you for being that and so much more. I love you. And,
and thank you. So grateful for you. I can't thank you enough. Honestly.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. So you guys, thank you so much for watching the show, and we will see you next week. Bye.
We'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Keys to Success podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to listen to more, be sure to subscribe to Apple Podcast and YouTube for our latest episodes.
Check out our show notes for more information on mentorship, private money lending, or if you just want to be a guest on our podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.